Hi viewers, welcome to MR Connect. Today we are going to see how to check the bounce rate in the new GA4 property. The truth is that the new GA4 has already removed the metric called bounce rate. Is it so? Google Analytics 4, which is previously called as App plus Web property, does not have this metric called bounce rate. So what can we check it now? The new version of Google Analytics has replaced the concept of a bounce with something called an engaged session. For a session to qualify as engaged, the user must do at least one of the following during their session. They should actively engage with your website or the app in the foreground for at least 10 seconds, or fire a conversion event, or they can fire two or more screen or page views. You will notice several new metrics in GA4 property that are built on top of this concept called engagement. So, what are those metrics? Engagement rate, engaged sessions per user, engagement time. So, these new metrics are available in new GA4. The new metric which you will want to use instead of bounce rate is the engagement rate. What is the difference between engagement rate and the bounce rate? Now we are going to look into that. Just like bounce rate, the engagement rate is useful for answering the question, are customers really engaged with my website? But engagement rate can also be applied in places where bounce rate cannot, such as mobile apps, single page applications, and content sites such as blogs and news outlets. Your engagement rate will always be greater than the inverse of your bounce rate. So the bounce rate will be the people who visited our web page and then leaving without any interaction. That is called bounce rate, right? That is the metric which is available in Universal Analytics. So this new metric, engagement rate, should be used in place of bounce rate. But there is a major difference between these two. Bounce rate is calculated by Universal Analytics where people have visited the web page and without engagement they are bouncing back from our website, right? That is called bounce rate. But the engagement rate is the inverse of the bounce rate, which is people who visited our web page and then they are engaging within that particular web page. This is because a session with at least two page views, not a bounce, qualifies as an engaged session, but so do other sessions that would otherwise consider as a bounce. So if your bounce rate was 65% last month, your engagement rate will be at least 35% or a little bit more than that. Where can we see the engagement metrics in GA4? Come, let's see it in the Google Analytics 4 interface. This is new GA4 interface and I have navigated in engagement pages and screens. That is similar to Universal Analytics All Pages report. So under Behavior, Site Content, All Pages, we will have this All Page report where we can also see the bounce rate calculation. Similarly, in GA4, we can see the All Pages report of Universal Analytics under Engagement Pages and Screens in GA4. So where can we see the engagement rate? This report will show us the average engagement time for the particular web page. In order to check the engagement rate, we can go and click Analysis Hub under the Analysis section. Under that, we will have the exploration report. So if we click on exploration, the new report will get opened and it will have some default segments, dimensions and metrics in the variables pane. Under the variables pane, we will have some default dimensions and metrics as well as the segments. Under tab settings, we will have the rows and the columns and some values. Now we are going to modify this report. So what I did is I just clicked on this plus button under dimensions and I have added the page path, and under metrics I have clicked on the plus button and I have added engaged sessions, engaged session per user, engagement rate and sessions. After adding page path under dimensions, I just clicked and dragged into the rows section. And then after adding the engaged sessions per user, engagement rate and sessions, I have just dragged and dropped into the value section. So now you can see this report which is having the page path, sessions, engaged sessions per user and then engagement rate. So the engagement rate is the percentage of engaged sessions divided by the number of sessions. For this particular web page, we can see it here 82.61% engagement rate. So this is the average of the website, right? So this engagement rate will be automatically calculated in new GA4, which we can also see it in the universal analytics, but with a little bit of coding. So that's it. Now today we have seen how to check the bounce rate in new GA4, which is not exactly the bounce rate, which is the engagement rate. Thanks for watching this video. Do comment your questions if you have any and then the feedbacks. Thank you so much.